But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it, because by the time you hire contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
The people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. Yeah. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
Remember that exchange right there between President Trump and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass about the disastrous rebuild prospects for people who lost their homes during the Pacific Palisades fire? Do you remember President Trump talking to Karen Bass about how she needs to accelerate the process, and this idea that it would take 18 months for people to get their homes back after this fire was an absurd and arbitrary deadline, and she needed to accelerate that? Remember Karen Bass looking him dead in the face and telling the people that were upset about the loss of their homes that they would not have to wait that long? Well, guess what? We are 11 months away from that particular video clip. We are 11 months away from the people who lost their homes in the Palisades fire. And what I want to do today for you guys out there in the audience is give you updates on the progress of the rebuild, because according to Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, they cut through all the red tape. They allowed people to build. They consolidated the permitting offices to make it easy for everybody to be able to get what they need to get ground broken on their new property. And yet there is comically few properties being built in the Palisades area, and it's really horrifying.
Phase 1 concurrently stacking with phase 2. Phase 2 now stacking with the work the supervisor's done to expedite permits, one-stop shop, the state overlaying their efforts to expedite any waivers as it relates to some of the state impacts.
So, Julia, the governor makes it sound simple, but when you look at the organizational chart that has emerged in the Palisades fire, you have government agencies, nonprofits, consulting firms, and more. Is this becoming a case of too many cooks in the kitchen?
And it's absolutely disgusting that Karen Bass right now is taking a victory lap over this piss poor job at a rebuild. So this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
Major progress in Pacific Palisades. Today, LA has new numbers from the city of LA, and they really give us a better insight into how rebuilding is going more than 9 months after the Palisades fire.
NBC Reporters Brittany Hope is live in the Alphabet Streets neighborhood. And Brittany, I see that you have a guest there. Before we get to that interview, do you know how many homes are under construction right now?
Hey, good morning, guys. So new numbers from the city this morning, nearly 300 homes in the Palisades have officially started construction, and that includes Allison's home.
So you might be fooled from that local NBC affiliate segment on the rebuild at the Pacific Palisades, because they sound really impressed by the number of projects that are currently under construction in that area. As they say, nearly 300 of them have had ground broken in the Palisades area, which would make you believe, if you were listening to this and paying attention to the smiles of the newscasters, that the rebuild is well on its way, and basically it's ahead of schedule and under budget. When in reality, those nearly 300 homes that are currently under construction pale in comparison to the level of damage that people suffered in the Palisades fire, as over 6,000 properties were completely destroyed by these fires. So we're talking about a celebratory news segment. This was from a month ago, so 10 months after the fire, about construction starting on less than 5% of the properties that were burned out. And again, Karen Bass was promising an accelerated permit process, and you only have 5% of the people starting construction. But to make matters worse, Karen Bass also issued a statement prior to Thanksgiving about how the first certificate of occupancy was issued on November 21st of this year for the Palisades area, meaning that she was trying to celebrate that the rebuild is well on its way. However, when people looked into this particular home that got its certificate of occupancy, what they ultimately ended up figuring out is that the one home that is ready to be inhabited in the Palisades post the fire wasn't actually rebuilt in response to the fire. You see, the one property that has a certificate of occupancy post the Palisades fire that was burned down by the Palisades fire was actually permitted for destruction and rebuild prior to the fire actually coming in. So for this particular Palisades property owner, the fire just served as a way for him to not pay for the demolition of his own property, and all of the permits and whatnot were gotten out of the way prior to the fire actually happening. And even then, it still took 10 months for this already permitted property to get from destroyed to rebuilt to certificate of occupancy, even though, again, Karen Bass was promising an accelerated permit process. And this is what is happening to a bunch of homeowners in the Palisades area. So while the local news media is showing us the positives, the good stories, the people who are having progress made on their property, make no mistake about it, the majority of people that lost their homes during the Palisades fire are not likely to see a rebuild even within that 18-month timetable that President Trump was warning about when he was talking to Karen Bass, and Karen Bass promised would not be the case because, again, California is just overloaded with rules and regulations, and of course, the Democratic politicians in and around this area, even though they promised to cut through the red tape, have done anything but. Or maybe they did, but there's so much red tape, there's so many regulations that even with an accelerated process, this is the level of progress that we have. Now, you guys well know that this became personal for me when friend of the channel, Devin Tracy, told me that his parents' home, the home that they've had since the 70s, was actually burned down during the Palisades fire. We actually did a fundraiser in order to help his family get back on their feet post the fire because they lost everything. They lost their clothes, all of their shoes, all of the things that represent memories from decades past. And obviously, it was so good of you guys out there in the audience to do what you can in order to help them out. And unfortunately, what I was hoping for, what I was thinking about every day since I learned that his family's home was lost during the Palisades fire is that that money would be able to keep them afloat as they wait on the insurance, as they wait on the potential ability to rebuild their property, try to get parts of their life back. But guess what? Because the process was so onerous, because it was so restrictive and costly and honestly oppressive and intentionally designed to be that way by the Democratic politicians in the city of Los Angeles and in the state of California, they ended up selling their plot of land because guess what? They eventually need to get on with their lives. Obviously, they're elderly individuals. And you know, you can't really wait in limbo when you're at that age for maybe 3 years if it was going to get up to that amount of time for your property to be rebuilt. You can't really just risk everything on the idea that California isn't going to California when in reality, what they've shown time and time again is that they don't give a damn about the victims of wildfires. Again, there have been other fires in other parts of California like that were caused by the power company like P&G, and what they ultimately ended up doing at the behest of Gavin Newsom was working out a settlement where the people who were victimized by the fire were paid out in stock, which again is the company that was responsible for the fire. So what ultimately ended up happening to that stock was that it plunged immediately into the ground after it was given off to these people who lost their properties due to malfeasance from the state-connected power company. So those people in those fires, as has been reported a multitude of times, guess what? They're still living in tents on their property, even though those fires were years ago, and Gavin Newsom promised them a rebuild, an accelerated process, and all the same crap that they promised in the Palisades but never delivered on.
That's just behind us here, the huge wooden structure. It's amazing. I was here on Monday. They have made so much progress since then. When was the last time you were here before this morning?
I was here on Saturday, and I came up to the site and I wept with my incredible architect who also lost her home, Ava Sobeski, and my contractor, Unified Home Solutions. I honestly cannot believe this.
And now
Truly.
we're here Wednesday morning. And I wish that you could have seen when she drove up. She was like, oh my gosh, there's a house there. And you hadn't seen this yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I hadn't seen the second story on. We've been basically running a marathon since January 7th. And I want everybody to know in the Palisades community that rebuilding is absolutely possible.
So make no mistake about it, while I am happy to hear some stories of some people having their properties rebuilt in some way, the majority of people who lost their homes during the Palisades fire will not experience this joy. It's just gone. They've been wiped out. They've been forced to sell their land for cheap because guess what? There's no chance that you're going to get the state of California and the city of Los Angeles to approve what they need to do in a timely manner for this community to be rebuilt. It's completely wiped off the map. And again, even these people that are celebrating right now the progress on their construction are in for a rude awakening when they go to inspection in order to get their certificates of occupancy, because in reality, as we found out through a recent Graham Stephan video, the city of Los Angeles does everything and anything to extract more capital at the end of the process and deny people the ability to rebuild their lives, because that's what this city is really all about. And by the way, Gavin Newsom right now is trying to blame the federal government for this, but make no mistake about it, Lee Zeldin over at the EPA rapidly approved everything that they needed to do in order to clear the debris, in order to get this stuff rebuilt. They were set up for success at the federal government level, but the city of Los Angeles and the state of California made a choice to not build on the advantages that they got from the federal government and to leave their residents to languish, to suffer, and not experience the full potential of their communities being restored because they don't give a damn about them. Again, it's all about posturing. If it doesn't help Gavin Newsom become president of the United States, he's not interested in it. And again, they have to feed the regulatory beast, this machine that of course exists in order to destroy, as we talked about recently in our video about Graham Stephan trying to get something that California is supposedly encouraging built in that particular city, and it's shameful in every possible way. So yeah, this is your update on the Palisades fire. They screwed the people over. Who is surprised? Absolutely not me, but it's still shameful nonetheless. Now, of course, I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about madness post the Palisades fire. Till next time.